All right, so there you go, guys. Some good news to start us off for the night. All right, so let's get back to our friend here, our guest this evening, which is Matthew. So, long story short, this goes back to Purelator, and I'm just going to make a statement here too that there's been a lot of shenanigans that have gone on with the Purelator workers. With I believe it was Leighton Gray. There was uh, questionable lawyer relationship nonsense, and you guys all know my sentiments of Leighton Gray, which was based on communications I had with him way back in like 2021. So I've already not been a fan. And we don't need to get into all of that, Matthew, but it's just the fact that the Purelator group itself has like, and I say group because like there was the Posties and the Purelator and there was different groups, Solantis, and people trying to work together to get justice or to seek justice. So there is a bit of a background there. Now, let's just get to the meat and potatoes here. This was about the jibby jab mandate. People were terminated. As we just heard from Karen, and we all know the unions colluded, and just we've talked about this on the Zoom, and Matthew, you and I talked about this, that the unions themselves were collaborating with the federal government to create or to how to manage these mandates. So the unions got dirt on their hands for sure. So flash forward to where we're at right now. And I also want to state this case is actually your uncle, just so we're clear. I don't want to feel like I've misinformed anybody on the situation. Matthew, this case is Matthew's uncle, and maybe in a future Zoom we'll have his uncle on the Zoom. So you guys are already at the federal court of appeal, and you guys already know, and you guys in the group know, and I say you guys, Matthew, it is not a court of inherent jurisdiction. It is a statute court, but you're a smart guy and you know that. And so everything that you're doing is focusing on statute. So Matthew, I feel like I've said enough already. Take it away, my friend.
Thank you. All right, I just want to get a 60 seconds of disclaimers out of the way here. I wish we didn't have to do this in this country, but so the first one, everything that we're going to discuss tonight is currently being tested in court. So until it's been proven, everything is for edutainment purposes only. And again, I'm not a lawyer. I don't have any legal training. The only thing we're doing is going over the lessons that we've learned. I've invested over 2,000 hours in the last 3 years trying to really understand the what and the why of what happened. And as we're going to cover, at least in a summary tonight, it is shocking what happened, but there's reasons for it that can be simply understood. I'm going to avoid talking about Purelator or details because there are things being tested in the court. There are 15 errors that we're highlighting in our case, and only one of them actually directly applies to Purelator. The other 14 are widely, if someone you know or you yourself were denied EI, I promise you that at least some of these 14 errors applied to you, probably quite a few more than one. And that's the goal of this is education. We need to understand what happened if we're going to be able to get justice. There needs to be a reckoning with what really happened and the understanding of what the purpose and intentions behind it were to be able to figure out what we're going to do in the future. I'm going to try and keep this basic. Some people might think it's too basic. I hope not. There will be some more detailed things in there too, but I believe that truth, like water, it always seeks its level in the mind of the listener. So I think let's just see where this goes.
And I will say, Matthew, that most folks on this in this group are a little bit more advanced with the law. So don't be afraid if you get a little bit into the weeds. We've discussed a lot of court cases on here, and a lot of people have been in court themselves. So just to kind of give you that background.
Sure. Thank you. Um, so let's start with the why. When we first started this conversation a couple minutes before we went live, Rebecca pulled out paragraph 7 from our factum, our shorter factum. I just want to read it because I think it sets the context for what we're going to talk about. That this case is not about the reasonableness of an employer's policies. It's about the lawfulness of their actions and the rule of law, which is the foundation of our legal system. Uh, I think we all watched as laws got trampled repeatedly. And that's what drew me into this. Just in Purolator alone, the number of people that end up homeless in the pandemic, marriages broke apart, kids lost their home and their parents over stuff like this.
Parents lost their children.
Yeah, from yeah. I want to briefly, if Rebecca wants to say something, she can. I just want to pull up the docket on, I'll share my screen. I just want to show a docket entry from our case. We've been facing a lot of challenges in this. Our case was almost kicked out multiple times. We've actually been kicked out 3 times, but every time we appeal, we get back in. Our case was almost eliminated from the Federal Court of Appeal. Thankfully, a new judge was assigned to the case. It was actually being blindsided as a conservative judge, and it's back on track. But I just want to highlight this. I'm not going to make any comment. Everybody can see this, right?
Yep.
Okay. This appeared on our docket without it's saying that a motion was made on behalf of the applicant. We are pro se. There is no on behalf of the applicant. So right around the time they were going to kick our case out, and then for some reason the judge, probably Providence, was reassigned to a different judge, and you can see it was canceled. But I want everybody to see what we're dealing with here.
And most people here know it's not up to, so the person that would request a publication ban, which this is what they were asking for, right? They wanted this to be like, keep it quiet, you can't talk about it. Well, did you actually see the application? Did you get a copy of the motion?
Nope, there is none.
Okay.
It wasn't docketed. Yeah, I can't explain how. There was no document assigned with it. The entry showed up without the supporting documentation.
So sneaky bullshit. So you guys all know that it's not the respondent that would request any type of confidentiality or publication ban. It would be the applicant. So the fact that the respondent is the one that said, hey, and we don't know what it was, some level of confidentiality that tells you kind of the path that Matthew was on is making them sweat a little bit. Again, not knowing what exactly what this was, but that's very interesting.
All right, so I think it's going to be hard. I'm going to try and summarize this as best I can. I can, although I'm not a teacher and have no experience standing in front of a class, I could probably teach a 100-hour lecture on the EI system. So I'm going to try and keep it as brief as I can, understandable. But I think that history and geography are very important to understanding what's going on. So actually, I'll share my screen again. I want to just briefly go over the history of 3 different areas. Share.
Is this where you're going to be talking about the different, all of the amendments that were made to this act? Because I found this very interesting too.
Yes.
Yeah.